Julie, I love this. This time I have my question about intuition ready to roll. Amazing. Well, let's begin. We'll start with your question, Julie. I'm ready for it. I have a fun topic I want to talk about today. I'll wait for more people to join because it's quite a question, like quite a big question I want to ask today. Julie asked, so how do I use my intuition to overcome my fear that leads to procrastination? Or move through my fear, I mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My dog is wanting to bark. Come here, Spring. I gave him a treat. Oh, gosh. Asha from France with a really poor internet connection may not be able to stay. New to Inside Timer. Well, welcome, Asha. I do these lives a couple times a week. So you're always welcome to join in. It's usually around this time. Well, exactly this time on Saturdays. So, Julie, you're asking such a great question. I actually have a premium course on Insight Timer called Reconnect Your Intuition. And it's all about what is intuition, what intuition is not. And it's talking about fear. I actually, on my website, too, have podcasts and radio shows about this, which is, yeah, which is actually, I did a whole talk on fear versus intuition. So you can check out my website for that. And I encourage all of you guys to go, on my profile page and then see my website. So, but you came with a great question, Julie. So let's talk about that. Yeah, because that's the theme today that I really want to bring up a lot of. Overcome my fear that leads to or move through my fear. Okay. But I think it's first important to know, is this an intuitive insight or is this a ego fear based decision? So the more we're conscious and conscientious of the nuances of, is this my mind talking me out of something or talking me into something, or is this really an intuitive insight? So I think, yeah, really a lifetime habit. And I think this is the ultimate question we all have, Julie. Like, that's been my journey for decades. And yeah, it takes it, okay, how can I answer your question today in a different way that I haven't always been answering it? Because I talk about these in my programs a lot. But how can I give you maybe a unique or different answer? First thing I want you to understand, though, Julie, is that when I sometimes receive an intuitive insight, it is scary. It's asking me to step up and do things that are out of my comfort zone. It may be the best for my higher self and really level up. But yeah, Julie, I want to rewire my brain. Don't we all? Don't we all? Yes, gosh, we could talk a whole hour about rewiring our brain. This is actually why I do a lot of 10-day meditation retreats, because it changes the habit patterns of my mind. I maybe come across as really joyful and happy and zen. And when I was younger, even when I was born, and I had a great childhood, I was so angry. And I was very anxious, very angry and anxious. And that was the pathway in my brain. A lot of anxiety and a lot of anger. Like 24/7, that was the state of being I was living in. Anger is beautiful. Anxiety shows up time to time, but it's not the constant level of being that I once was. And so I like to kind of teach through storytelling and just, I can only share my experiences because that's my only truth. We all have our own truth. So I can only share what's worked for me. But I used to be super angry, super anxious. And that means I was, anxiety defined as really the fear of the future. So I was very, I'm quite, I don't have a lot of regrets. I'm not thinking of my past. I'm usually very scared or fearful of the future. And, so I live in anxiety a lot. And the more I kind of slow down into being in the present moment, so that's our ultimate goal. How often are we in the present moment? Maybe a minute in a day max. Like, I don't know. That's enlightenment to me. But to work on this, to consciously work on just bringing ourselves back to the moment, feeling our body, feeling any guidance, any intuitive hits, seeing if it's fear based. Fear based is really reactive, judgmental, um, like urgent, whereas intuition is very balanced, calm, neutral, encouraging. So it's a different energy. I talk about this often because recently, this past year, I've received really interesting insights regarding ice cream. I love ice cream. Ice cream doesn't love me. And there's a difference. Sometimes I'm not feeling well and I want to fill this void, and I'll go reach for ice cream to fill a void. Other times, a couple times, which have been like, now it's kind of a consistent message. I received these messages to go for ice cream, and I didn't want ice cream. It was like I was going to go meditate, I was going to go home, I was in the middle of things, and it was this clear message two times. And both those times I had beautiful interactions, met a new friend, rekindled friendship with an old friend. Like, so it was a message of go for ice cream when I didn't want ice cream, when I actually consciously did not want ice cream. Um, but the message was so clear and so strong and very neutral. Just go for ice cream, you know? And so it's different. It's the same thing. Me ingesting ice cream, same outcome. But the way I got there was different quite different in the energy I was at in this moment. So it's fun to bring yourself back into the energy of the moment of like, where am I in this moment when I'm making a decision? Now, I would love how you came so strong with your question, Julie, and I really want to give you as much time as possible. Tell me more about this fear and procrastination. The whole procrastination part, because with my intuition, I've learned through me, just me, to act quickly. When I receive an intuitive insight, it's like now. Sometimes I don't. And then the intuition will come back a couple weeks later, a couple months later. It's kind of consistent. It's sometimes I say no, we all have free will. Yeah, Sandy, I act quickly too. But this is learned. When I was younger, I didn't. I didn't trust my intuition, but now I do. I've learned to take very quick inspired action because I know that feeling and that intuitive hunch. I remember one time I was at a meditation. It was kirtan chanting, which I love. It's this form of bhakti yoga. I love yoga. I'm a yoga teacher. And this is the yoga of devotion. So I'm sitting there in meditation and singing, and I received this. This is years ago, actually. And I received start your um, facilitation um, workshops, 2-day workshops. And then I received the date. I heard like start it, and I was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm too scared. I'm not ready. And then I received the date. Like it was like 2 months from now or something. And I was like, no, I receive a lot of guidance, Julie, that I'm quite resistant to, even now. I receive messages where I'm like, I don't want to. That's so scary, or that's so much work, or that'll take so much effort, or how am I going to do that? I'm still in that. And I also am here, and really, the more I talk about intuition, I live intuition, I really have to walk my talk. And I practice that and I share. I don't know, what I'm going to talk about today, but I want to be as transparent as possible about what's going on in my life because I teach through storytelling. And sometimes I'm just like, ooh, I don't know. I love all the hearts today. I don't know why so many hearts, but So yeah, Julie, your procrastination is fear of failure, fear of success. It definitely is connected to my procrastination. I love your I love how conscious you are because yeah, fear of failure is common. But I resonate with your fear of success. I used to, when I started my company 13 years ago, I had so much fear of success. So I was like wanting to grow my company, but so I had one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And I was like, what if I am too successful? What if and maybe at that time I didn't know how to receive. Okay, you have money. And then how do you manage your money? That's like a part-time job. It's easy to have a simple life. Or how would people perceive me? Humans have a deep need of belonging. That's our primary need. So if I make more money than my friends, will they still accept me or will they judge me? Like it was so much stuff. So I love that we can talk about this. This is a valid fear of success. Something that really helped me about that, Julie, I also was judgmental. This was 13 years ago. I was very judgmental of people who had money. I created my own story about them, which is not accurate. But I love a quote from, T. Harv Eker. I don't know if it's from him, but I love learning from him, and I would go to his workshops. And I love his book, Millionaire Mind, The Millionaire Mind. Love his book. And he would say, money makes you more of who you already are. I'll repeat, money makes you more of who you already are. And I was like, oh, that made me feel so good because even when I didn't have money, I was very generous. I was donating. I was, trying to give 10%, even if I didn't even have that extra 10% to give. So I've always been a generous person. And it was like, oh, well, if I make more money, then I will just simply have more to give and I will be even more generous. So, or if I'm loving or kind, well, if I'm have more abundance in my life, I will still be loving and kind. So that really helped me to welcome in more success in my life. Fear of failure. I did a whole podcast on this the other day too. Actually, yeah, podcast. It's on my website. It's called Living an Intuitive Life. It's the podcast Fire and Butterflies. I encourage you guys to listen to it. It's great. It was great. And we spoke all about that, Julie, which was dare to fail. How would you live your life if you gave yourself permission to fail? I write in my book. I'm an author. I write in my book. It's called the one chapter is a trial and error, about business, and important about trying things. I act very quickly. I receive a guidance. I act quickly because I've learned. Time can change everything. The timing of things can change everything in life. The opportunity may pass, and I feel like your higher self isn't judging you. Okay, great. You missed that opportunity. Doesn't mean that another amazing opportunity won't come into your life. It's just like, but I don't want to miss opportunities. I want a great life. I want everything that my intuition wants for me, my higher self wants for me. And I also believe that my higher self wants more for me than I want for myself. It sees a bigger vision and mission than I see. I'm very limited in my being on earth and walking on earth, and I don't have this bird's eye view that I feel like intuition does. Yeah. It's weighed me more on fear of success. Will I be able to maintain? Where will the energy come from? Ooh, yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Maintain success. Yeah, some people, so I started my company with nothing. So I had nothing to lose. I couldn't fail because I had nothing. So it's hard when people become entrepreneurs, for example, when they're CEOs and they have really good salaries. Then it's hard to drop in to become an entrepreneur and make very little for the first few years. then it becomes a real challenge. For me, I had nothing. I had to create my life. So I created it from zero. But then I was scared of, well, I value time and freedom more than money. So, okay, what if I'm so busy? Will I still have my time and freedom? Which was very scary for me. Like what level of success? For you, you're talking about energy. Where will the energy come from? Sometimes people join in and they're, oh, JD, you're so energetic. Yeah, because I'm living on purpose. I'm super happy with what I'm doing. This is fun for me to be here and speak to you guys about a topic that interests me. And when I'm doing something, Julie, that I don't enjoy, my energy crashes so quickly. I literally, if I'm doing something, I literally am falling asleep. Like my energy is cut. Like, so I over the years I know what brings me joy, what fuels my energy, and I'm always following that. A huge, you know, message I'm always wanting to share with people is follow your joy. We need more people who live in their joy. Joy is a very high vibration. It's very high vibration. It's a higher vibration than love in the level of consciousness, according to David Hawkins. It's not me who made this up. And yeah, it's like we want peace on earth. Everyone, we want peace on earth, but first we need to live in peace. We need to work on having peace with ourselves. So everything we want to manifest in the world, we first need to manifest this within. So yeah, where will the energy come from? I think the more you're on purpose and doing what brings you joy, it's just we'll have bountiful energy. But it's also, I'm all about self-care. I'm always about balance. When I was working 12-hour days in my company, I was earning less than I do now. So I'm super big into learning to delegate, having, valuing your time. Your time is so precious, more than money. We can always earn more money, but we can't earn more time. So I'm quite, I talk a lot about this, the importance of self-care. I will spend hours a day on self-care. What does that look like? For me, my self-care is hiking in the forest, going into nature alone, doing 1 hour of yoga every morning. It could be different types of yoga. Another is reading really positive self-help books or studying. I'm taking a lot of courses right now. So this is why I gotta share with you guys the knowledge I get from the books I read, because I value those three things. So this morning I was doing my Kundalini yoga, and this one woman was sharing, she's really big into yoga. And she stopped for a week and she was joining in the class today. And she said, wow, this yoga is the yoga of energy, like energetic yoga. This is energetically she didn't say my medicine, but it helps me energetically. So we're doing a physical action. We're physically doing yoga, but it's not really physical. It's really working on our energy levels, moving the energy, especially Kundalini yoga. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, and it's moving the energy through the spine and keeping us energized. And I think that's the utmost important. So even your fear of success, I don't exactly know what you're working on, but to prioritize time in your schedule for you, right? Hey, Danny. Morning, y'all. Just got out of my Saturday morning meeting. What have I missed? This morning, Julie came in strong with a question, and we're talking about fear, fear versus intuition. We're talking about fear of failure, fear of success, procrastination, and then acting quickly when we receive our intuitive guidance. Yes. So, Julie, act quickly on inspired action is a wonderful takeaway for me. Amazing. If that's what you got, amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, Julie, for me, intuition is so fast. Yeah, exactly. This, Danny, that's actually the kind of the topic I want to bring up today is fear of following your intuition. So this is actually kind of the segue into the main question I want to ask for today. But going back to you, Julie, also it's about asking questions as you need guidance throughout life. Like, oh, what would be in the highest, purpose for me, or the win-win in this situation. And before the question is even asked, you will, I imagine, receive an answer. And people already usually people push that answer away because they're like, well, my question hasn't even been fully asked. But it's not about that. It's about intuition is so fast. It's faster than the logical mind. So trusting that fast, immediate feeling, instant, and taking action on it. For big life decisions, it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying like, oh, receive it in guidance and fly across the world. Like, there's discernment, and our logical mind is very important. Before I moved to this province that I live in now, I received three very powerful dreams. Very, very, and I still remember them like to this day, very powerful. And I was very resistant, and I was like, nope, I don't want to. And it took me a while to, not a while, no, it didn't take me a while, because I was receiving the dreams about a month prior, and then out of the blue one day I lost my job. It was 2008, and they were cutting jobs, and I was the only full-time staff, and so they're like, you're taking the next plane out. I was living in a fly-in eco village, or eco resort in way northern Canada, and I lost everything, my home, my friends, my job, in a second. It was like, you're leaving in an hour. And I was kind of in shock, and it was so unexpected. But those dreams and a month before kind of prepared me on some level for that kind of unknown experience. So maybe my higher self knew something that I consciously knew. Yeah, John, nice to see you. It's nice to have you back. The show Loot on Apple TV is a GIF. I don't watch TV and I don't know Loot. Good for how money affects one. Oh, cool. I wonder where else Loot could be found. I don't have Apple TV. Good for how money affects one. Ooh, I'd love to learn more, John. Thanks for sharing that. That's what's so fun about this. Share what you guys have. Okay, so let's go into really the topic I want to talk about, which is fear of following your intuition. So thank you, Danny, for introducing this. Yesterday, I was doing a radio show, which you can see all of them on my website. And the actual question is, do you feel like, let me see. Do you feel like the world is a safe place? So I'm taking one of my great teachers who I'm taking this Divine Union of the Masculine and Feminine course with, and Kundalini course with, Katrina Boss. I'm going to take from her book here, page 98. Einstein once said that the most important question we have to ask ourselves is if we believe the world is a safe place. My interpretation of that, especially in this context, is that if I trust that the world is a safe place, then it will be easier to trust my wildness, my intuition, and my deep feminine. I will trust that if I listen and act on my inner guidance, things will turn out just fine. So ultimately, this is a great question. If I don't feel, I want to change the word from if the world is a safe place, because the world at times cannot be. There's war happening in the world right now. But I want to say more kind of the universe, kind of a collective energy of, do you believe that the world is conspiring to help you or not? Do you feel support? Do you feel supported by your higher self, by earth angels, by angelic angels, by guides, by ancestors. Like, do you feel safe? It actually comes back to like the first root chakra. Are you grounded? Do you feel safe on earth? And that's really important. When if we don't feel safe, it's going to be harder to trust that intuitive guidance. I would love to see in the comments. I would love to see in the comments. Do you feel safe on earth? Do you feel safe in the world? They often say in relationships, women need to, they say this, I didn't say this. They say women need to feel safe in romantic relationships and partnerships. And if we don't feel safe, how can we open up and surrender and feel like, and be vulnerable and feel like we can be held? And that's a big thing. That's the thing I'm really working on right now. I may want relationship, but if I don't feel safe with that partner, I won't be my authentic, genuine, relaxed self. My nervous system won't be relaxed. It'll be on edge. It'll be on edge. It'll be unsure. It may have loops and spinning and judgments and fears. And when we're in all of that, it's a neat analogy. I wasn't expecting to use this analogy of romantic relationships, but it's like, what's our relationship with the world? Can we surrender in? Can we trust that we will be held when we fall? Right? I would love to read your guys' comments. I find this a really interesting topic today about feeling safe. Danny, well, I tried to run my life the way I thought it was meant to be. I was on my own higher power. It wasn't until I surrendered myself to my intuition from the universe, from ancestors, or from a higher power, whatever you want to call it, that my life took a turn and I'm at more peace. Wow, nice. And so when did you start surrendering yourself to intuition? Because I remember seeing you here like even just weeks ago. I think these were, the different types of clairs were new to you. So how exactly have you started surrendering to your intuition? And are you more clear on how you receive intuition now, Danny? This is a thing, a big thing. A lot of people run their life by how they think it is meant to be, by what society says, by what the news tells us, by what our parents want. And cutting all of that out, cutting the noise out, cutting all the outside noise and going inward, moving inward. Julie, I'm learning that only I can create a safe place for me. So I'm beginning to feel more and more safe and branching out into the world. Ooh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm reflecting as I'm reading you, I'm reflecting on my life and yeah. Yeah, we have to take care of ourselves in this place of we are the only ones that can really make ourselves feel safe. And when I'm by myself and alone, I feel very safe and very complete and whole. And when I decide to be in relationships, let's say romantic relationships, then there's times where I may not feel safe, emotionally safe with a partner, So I don't know how to feel 100% safe all the time if maybe that masculine, because for me, this is why I love talking about this divine union of the feminine and masculine, because alone we are whole. We have the feminine and the masculine within. So I have my masculine side that can protect my feminine, so my feminine can surrender. It's not gender based. Like it's nothing to do with our physical bodies. We all have the both energies within us. So when I'm by myself, I can balance those both. We can even protect our inner child when our inner child has been wounded. We go back into our inner reactions. We can reparent and nurture and like love ourselves back to feeling good again. And in romantic relationships, then I may drop into my feminine and the masculine partner. I hope he will create safety and hold space and allow me to feel safe in his presence. Some men I can, some men I can't. It's not just all men I can. Some men do hold that beautiful, safe container, and other men I don't. I don't feel comfortable with. So, but it's like, yeah, how can I create a safe space? I'm thinking about your comment, Julie, even if I don't feel safe with a masculine. Well, what happens is I usually cut that relationship and I come back to myself. Then I can feel safe again. Um, yeah. Okay, Danny. So I hit a crisis last year and I had a huge awakening. My life started crumbling before me. I had to lose myself and restructure my whole being. I found recovery and its principles taught me to surrender. Now I'm not perfect at following my intuition every time, but I can see how I'm improving. Plus, that's why I'm here this morning to learn. Ooh, okay. What do you need to learn, Danny? You are your own master. I don't really have anything to teach. I just have things and stories to share. So I think that's what I want to share, or to share with everyone, is that you all are your own masters, your own gurus. You have your own. This is what we sing. I'm bringing this up because this is the first mantra we sing in Kundalini before every Kundalini class, is Om Namo Gurudev Namo, which is, I know the wisdom within me. I'm following the universal wisdom that is found within myself. So this is why I love this practice, because it's going inward, looking inward. Okay, good. The stories and examples teach me. We all learn from each other. Oh, good. I love that. Yeah, we each have stories. This is why I want you guys to write in the comments and share in the comments of your experiences. I would really love to learn. Maybe, okay, I'll make it easy for you guys. 0 means I have zero trust in the world and the universe, that the universe will protect and guide and take care of me. Zero confidence. Like, I do not feel safe. 10 meaning I feel so held and so supported and so safe, and I know the universe only wants the best for me. Write in the comments, how safe do you feel in the world? How safe do you feel in the world right now? John says 6. That's nice. Better than 50, 50. Anyone else? I would love to hear this. I would love to. Oh, today 8, Deborah. Danny, 8.5. Very nice. Very nice. Anyone else? Let me know if anyone's new here on my Insight Timer lives, where you're joining in from. I do these really informal Q&As, ideally a couple times a week, to come together and just share stories and talk about everything. We talk about everything. On Thursday, we spoke about love languages. We had a fun discussion about love languages, boundaries, and living authentically. Really, like, being authentic in order to live more intuitively. Today, it's more fear. Is the world safe? Julie, 7. Does anyone have like under 4? Anyone, like, really? I want to, share your story. It's we don't all have to be, trusting the world. I want to hear from you guys. Is there anyone who doesn't feel safe in the world right now? Mm, Deborah, thank you for being here, JD, and teaching us. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota, on Dakota land. Yeah, thank you, Deborah. My childhood dog is Dakota, and she passed away a long time ago. Uh, and she is one of my guides about intuition. She's always encouraging me um, to be intuitive. And she was actually one of my biggest teachers on how to teach animal communication. She was a big encouragement. When I would tap into her, she really pushed me when I didn't want to teach this. So yeah, I feel her. Yeah. So Elle, I'm under 4, always on fight or flight mode in relationships, learning to be safe space for myself where there is a lack of safety and emotional grounding from masculine in general. I know. They were talking about Dakota. How precious to have that in real life and in spirit life. Precious Dakota. I know. She's here. She came through today. Elle, thank you for your vulnerability. Yeah. Fight or flight. I think I do these lives because I want to share my story. I was always in fight or flight. Had so much anxiety. I did not trust the universe. I was in an emotionally abusive relationship, really toxic. I was alone. I didn't have my family here. I didn't have support here. Like, this is where I started. Al. And even we're talking about even Danny, you were saying, a few minutes ago, my life started crumbling before me, a huge awakening. I would say me as well. I've been on this path since I was 10, so I've been on this path for 30 years now. But I had a really big dark night of the soul, is the kind of, they call it, Danny, like these dark nights of the soul, where I had a relationship crumble. And for me, that I felt very safe to be in relationship with that man, and that crumbled. And I felt like vulnerable. I just saw myself on this tundra, in this ice cold Canadian tundra, by myself. And I would wake up terrified. This was just like maybe 1 or 2 years ago. Well, not last year, 2 years ago. Just waking up with like heart palpitations, terrified that I'm alone. Not really being alone, but like that I'm not safe anymore. I'm vulnerable, like to the elements of the world, like there's no one that I can be safe with. That was completely, and it's not about being alone. I don't feel lonely. I'm, been single for years and very happy being alone. I don't feel lonely, but it was a deep survival fear, deep survival. And just, these dark times can help us crack us open. And so I, through just consciously connecting more to my higher self and asking for guidance, I was guided to beautiful things. And And the more I would listen and more I'd take this inspired action, as we're talking about, the more beautiful things would unfold. And then I just had more and more trust, and my nervous system calmed down. And now I can be more clear when I'm in front of someone, for new friends, maybe new partner, anywhere. I'm more centered and clear on myself. And so I can feel more intuitive guidance when I'm in the presence of another person. And rationally, I talked about this other days, like rationally, there might be like an amazing person on paper, amazing friend, amazing everything. And rational brain's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But if your body feels tense or tight or like, this is not good, or you feel drained or not good in their presence, then you start to trust that more. You start to trust that more. And then you have more and more confidence and trust, and your nervous system can surrender and relax more because you know you'll take care of yourself. I don't know, Elle, if this has helped. Share more if you have anything you want to say about that. Welcome, Denise. My first time here. I'm from Southern California. Ooh, like 3 hours behind our time. This is early. Well, thanks for being here. Yeah, okay, Danny says, okay, I'll admit. Some days, even within the same day or within 1 hour, I can go from 8 or 9 to 3 or 4. I can easily go into despair. The four sides of me, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual, can be at odds. My mental says I'm safe, and my emotional says I'm not. Leaning into both sides and honoring them has been a journey on all its own. Life is not perfect. 100%, Danny. And that's the thing. This is beautiful to say. Today I can be like 9, and something may happen, and I'll be shaken. I'm going to use I statements because I can only speak about myself. I can be shaken. Look how happy I was and joyful, and then boom, I saw like Dakota land, and I was instantly brought to tears and really like, whoa. And I don't normally like cry in front of people, but I was so emotional. It just hit me so hard. It's like we're humans having a human experience, right? We are, and it's okay not to be attached to things. I can be very judgmental of my emotions. I used to be very scared of my anger because I was very angry in past relationships and as a child, and I didn't want to revert back to that. But seeing that anger is beautiful, anger serves a purpose. And I can, if I'm meditating or if my boundaries have been crossed or something happens and I feel anger, to not identify it. I am not an angry person. I am currently in this moment feeling anger and just letting it pass. This is why I love the meditation, Vipassana, which is the meditation of seeing reality as it is, not meditating and having thoughts and emotions just pass by like clouds, not being attached to them, not holding on to them, not identifying with them. I used to say like, oh, maybe I did say this. Probably I still do. You guys, I have all these people who can see me and witness what I'm saying, and I don't know what I'm going to say. So I have to be conscious of my words. But I try and not say like, oh, I am an anxious person. Because I have anxiety. At times I feel anxious, but I don't want to identify myself as I'm anxious. I'm anxious and I'm angry. Like, okay, those are aspects of me, Or often a question I often ask in these lives is, do you live 100% intuitively? And I would love to say that I do. Like I more and more every day I'm trying to step into, I'm living 100% in alignment with my intuition. No, Elisa. No, thank you for being here. You haven't missed too much. We're talking about anything. We're talking about many subjects, whatever people ask and comment. Right now, we're talking about how safe do you feel? I don't know if you can see, if you join in, if you can see the comments already written. How safe do you feel in the world right now? And how at times we can feel really safe and we can feel really intuitive, like, oh, I'm 100% living my intuitive guidance and messages and confident in that alignment. And then like within an hour or a day later, we could lose all that confidence, or we could, not feel safe in the world when something really startling happens, or, and that's being a human, accepting our humanness. And this is also something too, we can receive this intuitive guidance. Julie, we were talking about kind of acting quickly in fear, and I receive intuitive guidance. And also we're humans who have free will. And so we can choose not to. Yeah. Thank you so much. Deborah says, thank you so much for letting so much what you are sharing. Yeah. Yeah. What specifically? We've been saying a lot. So this is really an open place to ask any questions you want about intuition. Yeah, Danny, I've heard that anger is a secondary emotion. I'm curious your thoughts on that. Good. I love how you question me. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Um, yeah, for sure. For sure. We're going back. I'm going to go back into childhood stuff because I'm sure that's what you're going to bring up. Knowing you a little bit more, seeing my regulars join me, this is maybe what you're going to talk about. As a young girl, I'll talk about my childhood. I was very encouraged to be angry and have tantrums. So my mom encouraged that. She says, don't push any of your emotions down, let them all come out and let them be released. So she would go into your room and have a tantrum. And that was acceptable. But was I allowed to cry? No. My dad, if I ever started to pout or be sad, he would make fun of me or make a comment. So as a young girl, I have learned that crying is unacceptable, but yelling and screaming is acceptable. So this is definitely for me a learned behavior. So for me, if I'm angry, if I drop down, it's sadness. If I drop down, it's sadness. Also, I've learned that for anxiety, I don't know if this is where you're coming from. Like, what's the secondary emotion? For me, my deep emotion is sadness, but I'll show it as anger. Maybe share what you have. Yeah, boys and men don't cry. Swallow that down. But that's the thing, Danny. It's not the thing. I like to share that too. It's not the message that only boys and men can't cry. I was, this cute little girl in a little cute sundress, and I was not allowed to cry. That was unacceptable. Uh, so, again, I don't think it's gender based. It's how you were brought up. How you were brought up. I have a twin sister, and when she was younger, she suffered a lot of migraines, and I didn't. I allowed myself to cry a lot more, maybe in private, but like I allowed myself to cry. And my sister did not allow herself to cry. And so we would fight, because we'd fight all the time. Now we do, you'll see it. You can go on my website and we do podcasts, me and my twin sister together, which are so fun. We just did like one yesterday and we were just like laughing for 5 minutes. On the show, we have so much fun together. She is my greatest cheerleader, one of my best friends. But when we were younger, we hated each other's guts. No, she hated me. I didn't hate her. I always loved her. And so we would fight, and she would physically hurt me. And I would emotionally hurt her. I knew exactly the triggers. I knew exactly what to say to hurt her emotionally. And so I would hurt her emotionally and make her cry. And I remember one day she started crying, and I was so proud of myself. I was like, good for me. This is amazing. I was like, I'm helping you, like, heal your migraines. And I was convinced, as a young girl, I was convinced of that. By pushing her buttons and making her cry, I was helping her release this pent up, these things that were coming out in physical ailments. And yeah, I don't know if it's because of me. I like to say it's me, but yeah, she stopped having migraines. She's learning to tap into her emotions. Yeah. So yeah, Deborah, good question. Yeah, specifically, yeah, like what do you I asked, like what are you happy about, like the share? What did you enjoy? And you're like, oh, specifically about emotions and my judgment of mine. Yeah. Oh, I know. We're so hard. We're so judgmental of ourselves. You know, I spoke about this the other day of like anger can be beautiful. Tears can be beautiful. I just value authenticity and raw emotions. So I really value that. Someone came to my home this year for a retreat, and he actually came, Danny, to process emotions, to be in a safe place, because when he was younger, he was this man in his 60s. When he was younger, he was not allowed to cry in front of the feminine. And he literally, because I have wellness retreats in my home, he came to my home and he wanted to be in a safe container and a safe space to cry. And he cried a lot and in front of me. And I love that. It's like, great, cry. You know, in workshops I've gone to, I've also learned not to. This is really powerful. Once I went to a workshop and they said, whatever you do, do not give other participants like tissue or Kleenex, you know? And I was like, oh my God, why? Usually we support each other. Oh, here's the Kleenex if you're crying. And it's giving the other person on some subconscious level the message that they have to clean themselves up, that this is messy, that we don't want to see snot and tears. And if they want Kleenex, they are able to ask for help, but we're not there to go and run and help them. And I was like, oh, that is so edgy, because sometimes people cry and they do this to have attention, to want support or help. But it's like, so anyways, I came with this message of like, you cry all week. I am not going to, like, I can be there and hold space, but I'm not physically going to comfort you. I'm not physically going to give you Kleenex. I'm not going to tell you to be quiet. You know, I'm going to just allow space for you to process emotions. And I think that's so important. So that was like that retreat, emotional release deck week. Yeah. So, Danny, you're saying that, yeah, the anger is the tip of the iceberg. Under the water is pain, disconnection, fear, inferiority, disappointment, judgment, self-hate, etc. Those bottom emotions come out as anger because we project those internal feelings on others. That looks like anger. That makes sense. Yeah, of course. And yeah, for me, it's like, that's important too. It all is a different underlying anger and emotion. So for someone, it could be fear. I'm so afraid. You know, for me, sometimes it's anxiety. For me, it's I'm so anxious and I don't know how to manage my anxiety, and I'll just lash out just to get that emotion out. Sometimes I'm so sad and I'm not allowed to cry, so it comes out in anger. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I was taught that anger is really fear. Ooh, yeah, sure. For sure. And for me, anger is if my boundaries aren't respected. That could be any boundary. Boundary isn't just physical. Boundary can be time. If my time isn't respected, I have a huge time boundary. Time is for me, it's my most precious asset. Um, Emotional boundary, physical, mental, all of the things, spiritual boundaries, like all of them. So for me, I can be very angry if one of those boundaries are crossed. Yeah. Yeah, the pictures of your retreat are beautiful. Easy place to feel comfortable to cry. Yes. Yeah, and also what I do is in the afternoons after we go hike in the forest, which is so centering, I offer restorative yoga before supper. And restorative yoga is the yoga of conscious rest. So it's actually relaxing your nervous system. And when your nervous system is relaxed, I think the deepest emotions can come to the surface. That's what happened for me when I did my training. Like I did this heart opening restorative yoga posture, and ooh, things bubbled up and would just come to the surface. You know, like I go to retreats and There's someone in the corner crying like hysterically. It's like, come on, get a hold of yourself. How can you not control yourself? Until I did my restorative yoga, I was in the deepest relaxation, and a song came on or something. Someone said a comment, and the deepest grief, like deeply hidden grief, came to the surface, and I started like crying, like uncontrollably in this room. The teacher came and just held space for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like when you're so overcome with emotions, you really don't care who's around. But I was humbled because it's like, oh, come on, how can you not control your emotions? But oh, yes, that happened to me. So my point is, in the restorative yoga, that's happened, and I had one couple that came to my retreat, and the gentleman never cried in front of his partner. But that day, he was in this restorative yoga posture, and his body relaxed completely, and he started to cry. And that was the first time she saw him cry. They like just got married or something. He was like very new, and I was like, I was just so happy. I think tears are so healing. I think this is the greatest thing ever. Deborah, okay, yes, I'm heading to my hypnotherapy appointment soon. Need to join again next time. I have some anxiety about what kind of vulnerabilities and emotions will come up in the appointment, and have come to some acceptance, peace, and trust this morning about it. Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. So, thank you guys. It's so nice that you're here. I love to do these lives. Ideally a couple times a week. Next week I'm going to a yoga retreat myself. So I won't be doing any lives next week, but I really encourage you to follow me and see when I'll be doing my next lives. I have this premium course. It's called Reconnect to Your Intuition. I encourage you to check out my bio page and my website to see how you can work with me and retreats and courses and books and all of my radio shows, podcasts that I do. Oh, thanks, Jill. That was super helpful. Thank you. Oh, I ordered a book from the library you just recommended, and also will check out your website and podcast. Yes, and my book as well, Intuitive Business Connections. It's really random stories about intuition, how I use intuition for just living an intuitive life, all about money, finances, entrepreneurship, business. And then the last section is all about connections, deep, authentic communication, speaking, traveling, learning about other cultures. So I talk all about that. But it's so nice to see you guys. If you saw any value, I encourage you to leave a little donation. And I hope to see you guys all in a couple weeks. So thanks again. Bye for now.